This is a pitch you just kind of stumbled into. The Phineas gauge of brain functioning. I'm the globe's original philosopher of quantum physiology, which uses the philosophical hypothesis of bioelectromagnetism to explain human functioning. We're doing science in a faulty, flawed, and fraudulent, sometimes all three, especially when the money comes into play, sometimes one or two. Faulty, flawed, and fraudulent paradigm of the Western, and I also like to call it whiteness, thought tradition, that can be labeled as the seeing is believing paradigm. We've got all this data on biochemistry, and it is labyrinthian. These pathways, no lay person can really be reading any study and coming away with anything practical. We talked a little bit about. So my work as the founder of #WellbeingPhilosophy is to teach the world to think in perfect harmony, to get us to thinking about how we think about being human. Because we've all got to get optimized if we want the kids, and I do, especially the female kids, to have a better life than what we've had, and in the differences in our ages. You had it a little bit easier, better, less walls to break through. My YouTube channel, #Redhead is She-Hulk. I've been documenting how I returned from having lost nearly 90% of my capacity to walk and talk in my 40s. I'm willing to stand on stage and shout, global warming is killing me. The environmental toxicity is, as an autistic person, my sensory acuity, which is a superpower. Except for the fact we live in a society where we want kids to be like movementlessness. We want them to all learn the same thing at the same time. The standardized tests, oh my goodness. The removal of physical education and musical education. We're accusing them of being addicted to these screens. We've taken away any other enrichment. Go to the other parts of biology, mammalian biology, avian biology. People are like enrichment. Zoos are creating, genocide if they don't put the animals in their appropriate environment. And yet, everything that industry and venture capitalists are trying to do is anti-humane environments for the pinnacle of evolution so far. This is my work in the world. This is what I'm going to be paid a great deal, like Dave Chappelle level, Hannah Gadsby, Eddie Izzard, stand on a stage and port this brain into one-woman monologues. I call it #Socratic improv because mine aren't about making fun of people and being raunchy. I'm looking for some laughter, but lots and lots of light bulbs. #Socratic improv. Now, what I need to get there, and what I want in no uncertain terms, is to donate my actually operating brain, body, and biofield to science right now. I want to get scanned. I want the scientific data to document my outlier case. Because I have sorted the hard problem of consciousness into an easy pivot. And I'm using bioelectromagnetism to stay alive. The salience, that the tuning forks I have are the hertz that you're doing research on. lower alpha, upper theta, right there, which is the clutch. This is why everyone's all about the mindfulness and meditation these days. That's the clutch. You have most people's clutches don't work. They can't come into a place. You have to be in body-brain synchrony. The lower you get, the more your heart and brain are entrained in rhythm. And the brain can be the pacemaker. The brain doesn't need to be its own pacemaker. It can rely more on the heart. The brain can start doing all its gymnastics once the heart. Yeah. So this is a highly speculative. This is improv, and I need to get some actual real work done here. So, but this is it. Help me bring Phineas Gage to the NIH right now. First thing you can do for me in this sort of, admin, I'll send you a paper situation that you offered. That was, you don't know how many thousands of times I'm like, if I just had one person, and I will not rely on you. We're trying to get me more people. I'm the apex intellect on planet Earth about bioelectromagnetism. Applicatively, there's probably some people. It's a journal, Bioelectricity. This is my book, We Are Electric. I didn't even get Sally out. I should have, but We Are Electric by Sally Adee, A-D-E-E. Science journalist, brought together the whole bioelectricity. It's bioelectromagnetism is you and your TMS knowledge, and got to bring in the Faraday, right? One of the things, my theories of human physiology, Einstein's greatest mistakes, is I do call myself, and I believe this is a very valid descriptor, the sheet Einstein of consciousness. Quantum physiology. Physics, if it's correct, has to account for human functioning, and human functioning has to be theoretically part of how we get through these conundrums of understanding of quantum reality. All of the philosophers in cognitive science, the leading guys out there, neuroscientists, and their theories of consciousness ignore altered states of consciousness. What you and I know is that theta bursts and gamma bursts, altered traits. Make sure you can see this. This is Richie Davidson, Dan Goleman. The work that was done at UW-Madison on imaging monks' brains. Gamma bursts. As a philosopher, what I'm doing is synthesizing. Is systemic thinking at really the level we need to evolve consciousness. It's so hard because so many of the let's be honest, woo-woo people, they're good clinicians, right? Massage therapists, acupuncturists, but they're crap theoreticians. And in fact, a vast amount of bench scientists are atrocious theoreticians as well. So here you've got a degreed philosopher from Carnegie Mellon University who you've seen be the communicator between the researchers and the clinicians on autism. We won't ever step away from, autism is the A in the chronic conditions that I can re-explain, redefine, and set both the parents, clinicians, and researchers into bioelectromagnetism from a N=1 that defies most of what our current paradigm believes when it only uses sight. Seeing is believing. It's the paradigm. Taking us down into sound, taking us down into the lower hertz, which is evolutionary logic, almost certainly how life had to get started evolutionarily. I mean, periodic table of the elements, right? You have hydrogen. 1 and 1, and then you get 2 and 2, and then you get 3. All right? To build to the heights of human consciousness, of which nobody has access to because we're all so fearful, we're all so overstressed, we're all being toxified by the unintended consequences. I really did lose my capacity and not the ability. Wasn't that my brain was really effective. It was that I could not physiologically talk because of my challenges with my fascia. And the fascia are the connective tissue. This is how all the vibratory aspects of every cell in our body communicate. That's the information of how well our body is doing. And when your fascia is no longer allowing muscles to glide and tissues to and cells to vibrate, you become locked in. Morbid obesity is a Parkinsonism, and tying autism and Parkinson's and fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, most of these I've had some sort of lived experience with. I'm going to be needing some funding for some symposia of my own. So yesterday I did one of these to our new BFF, David Feigenbaum. Between the three of us, every cure, my job is every prev, reverse and prevent. Bioelectromagnetism is primary. Biochemistry and biomechanics are downstream. The 4 forces of physics: electromagnetism, gravity, strong and weak, nuclear forces. In terms of all of us, when you're not looking through an electron microscope, the forces are mechanical, chemical, electrical, magnetic. The emergent properties of bioelectromagnetism, I think it's the same force, although in magnetism we get more data. There's more dimensions of data that magnetism, when it flows through carbon-based cells, there's more data than when electricity flows through metal wires. That's consciousness. That's how it emerges. It's all vibratory. Everything is frequency. So yeah, all of the leading people writing books, I'm not down in the papers because I don't have access money. The leading lights of consciousness ignore altered states of consciousness. This is artistic flow, really. Philosophical flow, but nobody's coined that term yet. He's the one can help me, mentor me, and literally write a check to help me stay alive. Every cure, every rev. We've got to integrate human functioning into a unified theory of human energy, potential, well-being. That's how a philosopher can say body, mind, and soul and not be called a quack. Human energy, potential, well-being. Energy is the body, potential is the mind, and well-being is our soul. I've been searching for belonging for 54 and a half years. And only in this weekend did I get the intellectual belonging. I've been denied. And the change in my ability to now make things happen is extraordinary. I went a little bit longer with you. I don't know how this is going to work out, but it's going to work out. Between you and him, I did one of these to David. It's going to be uploaded right before this one. Go listen to that one too, so you can see the sort of societal impact. Baseline is, he's got access to the Clinton Foundation. Hillary and I are women who have been denied jobs that we are the most qualified in human history ever to be employed in. Me understanding consciousness, quantum physiology, I know. But I'm happy to talk to Chelsea too. Right? Is get me to somebody who can help me get the funds to create the hashtag Wellbeing Philosophy Institute to make clear, creative, anti-racist, which I call life-centric thinking about human energy, potential, and well-being, a necessary global public good. You can help me. There's a lot of research that needs to happen. You know, I'm doing all this with tuning forks. It's easy for me to not only give the theory, but to say, here's some experiments. And especially in autism, as I said it with the sensory biomarkers, and I think that wasn't what I got the standing ovation with, but I should have. Because I'm certain I can turn my autism on and off, smoke, or even just like make me do hand sanitizer. I've not done any hand sanitizer. No COVID with no hand sanitizer because of the sensory aspects of it, and no soap either. I'll be perfectly honest with you. There's where people start calling me crazy. Water. I have not contacted. If I've contacted COVID, I am a non-symptomatic spreader, which is how it actually got to be such a dramatically fast acting. There's got to be, and again, I stay away from, there's nothing out there that makes any sense. It's all chaos, so I'm not taking in input right now. But in what I've seen, nobody's out there saying that has to be part of it. Some of us, if we've encountered COVID and have been spreading it, are having absolutely no symptomology whatsoever. I think I have like an immune system that should be Lloyd's of London's insured. I really do think so. David and I are experiencing very similar things. I call it lymphedema. I don't think it's stuck in my lymph nodes. I think it's affecting my fascia more than, and in ways that don't seem to stress my organs, which is probably his quarterback body and my 333-pound morbidly obese body. I had a lot of extra space physiologically with lower action potentials, the charges. So in We Are Electric cell membranes, what they're saying is, and I think it's 0.5, 0.7, 0.9, you go from connective tissue and fat to muscles to bones. The rigidity of whether any stem cell becomes what kind of tissue is the charge in the membrane. Putting eyes on frogs' butts. And why I'm coming to you, and I really do want to collaborate. This is win-win-win, strategic collaboration, to donate myself as a research symposia, theorizing and initiating for the NIH and the NIMH. It's not a body-mind split. This is where we're at. This is the precipice. This is the tsunami that I had to comprehend and operationalize to stay alive. While being autistic, being sensitive to everything, and needing to go through the full reaction there in order for that not to become the inability to function that our kids are living through. You have to be able to express it when people are shutting you down, even as hard as it is for anybody to be around with your tantrum. The tantrum is processing all of the physiology. You're really feeling all that. There's no such thing as an overreaction. From that one axiom, there's a lot of experiments we can do. All right. Harmony.